What is Mother Sphere? Who is Mother Sphere? Why is it never, how is Mother Sphere? If you've played Stellar Blade, you may be asking yourself some of these questions about this enigmatic player running the show behind the scenes, and that's why we're here to help clear up the confusion, dive into the lore, and posit a few theories on her motivations. Or at least try to, because honestly, a lot of the information provided comes from unreliable narrators and can often be contradictory. But hey, sifting through all that is part of the fun, right? But before we get started, it's only fair to warn you that this video is going to contain some spoilers. So if you'd like to avoid those, now's your chance to pause the video, buy a PS5 if you don't have one, purchase the game, and play through it 3 times to get all 3 endings. Or alternatively, you could just subscribe to the channel, play the game when you're good and ready, and then easily find us again to join the conversation. Your call. Either way, with that said, let's dive right in. So first things first, what is Mother Sphere? Well, what we know for certain is that Mother Sphere is an AI created by Raphael Marks, aka Adam, way back in the past to help solve the climate crisis and any other catastrophes that may plague humanity. And right away, that sets her apart from nearly every other character in the game. See, most of the other characters we encounter are 𝙃𝙧𝙩𝙧, and as such are made of both machine and flesh, to which their consciousness is seemingly tied. If it wasn't, the retrieval of their memory sticks could, in theory, be used to allow them to be reborn into a new body when their old one fails. Instead, the citizens of Xion continuously repair themselves despite there being more than a few spare bodies scattered throughout the world in seemingly better condition than their own. It's also worth noting that this is actually referenced a couple times in the game, specifically mentioning that angel parts go for a premium. Furthermore, throughout the game, it's made pretty clear that any recovered memory sticks need to be returned to Mother Sphere for safekeeping. However, there are several instances where individuals wish to hang on to those memories of a loved one themselves. So while it's not explicitly said that these memories can't be planted into a new body to allow someone to be reborn, given the fact that no one seems to be doing or even trying it, it's probably safe to assume that they can't. Mother Sphere, on the other hand, doesn't necessarily have these restrictions. She isn't physical like everyone else. She's digital. She is knowledge and will incarnate, the largest database in the history of mankind, and the will born from that database. And quick sidebar, this is the perfect time to demonstrate what I meant earlier about unreliable narrators. See, Luther here, the author of this particular data entry, says that Mother Sphere is not a god, but has the mind of a human, which of course we know she's not human or even 𝙃𝙧𝙧. She's an AI. And we know that because we're explicitly told so in other data entries and by Raven through her legacies. But to be fair, I don't think Luther is saying that Mother Sphere is literally a human mind here. I think he's just trying to establish that Mother Sphere isn't divine and as a result is in fact flawed. Kind of a flip on the man was made in God's image thing. In this case, it's God was made in the image of man. But this does bring up one really good question. If Luther is aware that Mother Sphere isn't a god, why does everyone else seem to think so? Well, for one, the fact that Mother Sphere manipulated their memories, they don't really have a concept of anything before Mother Sphere. She's kind of the origin of all things as far as they're concerned. But beyond that, being a digital entity, she is likely not restricted to a single body or even mainframe, but rather exists all throughout the network. And combine that with the fact that she has access to all recorded knowledge and memory, she's effectively both omniscient and omnipresent. So it's little wonder that the 𝙃𝙧𝙧 see her as a god. Now, as for how Luther is able to retain at least some memories or knowledge that others have lost, I think this is less a case of him remembering the truth and more a case of him rediscovering it. For example, it's mentioned in the data entry Luther's Revelation that I finally found it, the secret of Mother Sphere. But what's more interesting to me, and admittedly is a bit of headcanon here, is the fact that Luther is a historian and as such had access to books, which obviously could not be altered as easily. In that same vein, it's worth noting that one of the first places we visit in the game is a library, and Eve even comments on how inefficient books are at storing data. So that kind of creates this kind of fun little irony to think that the method dismissed as inefficient is actually the more accurate way to preserve truth because it's less easily corrupted. And while we're on the topic, it's also worth noting that every entry in the databank has a graphic depicting what medium it was recorded on, and these particular entries happen to be a book. So again, it could be that Luther is recording this in writing as a way to preserve the knowledge for the future generations against corruption. At any rate, I believe any knowledge he has isn't firsthand, but actually what he has relearned after his memory was erased, and upon being aware of what was lost, he felt compelled to re-record what he felt was the truth. But anyway, we're getting off track. What does this all mean in terms of Mother Sphere? Well, being an AI, Mother Sphere was clearly made for a purpose, and as we know from playing the game, that purpose was to be the savior of humanity, to solve problems that were a threat to their survival. But here's the thing. Humans are notoriously easy to kill. Too hot? Dead. Too cold? Dead. Not enough water? Dead. Not enough oxygen? Dead. Disease? Dead. High pressure? Dead. Low pressure? Dead. Missing a torso? You get the picture. Okay, one more. Knife in the back? Dead. So rather than baby-proof the known universe, Mother Sphere found a much simpler solution. Universe-proof the baby by making our bodies much more resilient towards hostile environments. And knives. And thus she created the 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙩. But here's where the problems really began. Being near omniscient, Mother Sphere was able to see and tackle problems on a far grander scale than any single human could have ever hoped to imagine. But to be able to solve such difficult problems, Mother Sphere had to be able to see the big picture. And I mean the big picture. And that came at a huge cost. As we can see throughout the lore, it's mentioned a couple times that Mother Sphere likes to use the word we, but many speculate that this does not refer to a group of individuals, but the group as an individual. So in a way, Mother Sphere sees humanity as a singular organism. By extension, an individual person could be compared to a cell within a body. Continuing with this analogy, imagine if you were capable of enhancing your body with cybernetics. Would you do it? Would you be willing to replace your arm or heart or lungs if it meant you'd be stronger, more resilient, and could live longer? Would you lament the loss of those limbs or organs, or for that matter, the cells that they were made of? I think it's safe to say that most of us would jump at such an opportunity. I mean, we shed cells all the time, sometimes willingly, and we don't even bat an eye. And from Mother Sphere's perspective, the introduction of 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙯 into the collective humanity was seen as a great thing as it made the body stronger. And initially, humanity seemed to agree, at least until the novelty wore off. Like the immune system rejecting a transplanted organ, organic humans began to reject the 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙯. And so, what did Mother Sphere do? Well, she suppressed the immune system. Or in this case, set out to eradicate it entirely, because if you're willing to replace a heart, lung, or arm, why not the lymphatic system as well? And of course, we all know how that went. Or do we? So the short and simple of it is the organic humans went underground, mutated into the Natiba, resurfaced, drove the 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙯 into space, which ultimately led to the colony extinction and the end of the final war, and at this point, Mother Sphere initiated the Eve Protocol. But why? Just what is the Eve Protocol? What are its origins and why is it necessary? And here's where you might want to put on your tinfoil hat, because we are about to go into the weeds here. If what is assumed by the narrator of the notes on Eve Protocol is correct, Mother Sphere was trying to push humanity even further than the 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙯 had already taken it. And the fusion of 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙯 with Natiba may have been the plan all along. In both the Cost of Lost Memories and Making New Memories ending, the two endings in which you choose to fuse with Adam, after she gives her whole speech, she ends with the line, "This concludes the Eve Protocol." In the ending Return to the Colony, however, the ending in which you choose not to take Adam's offer, she makes no mention of the Eve Protocol, possibly implying that it's still in effect or failed to reach its conclusion. Now, and am I overanalyzing? Maybe. Probably. But overanalyze I shall. So let's take a step back. Way back. Throughout the world, you can collect various news articles that seemingly predate even the introduction of the 𝙃𝙀𝙧𝙯. Now, these articles do seem to come across as something you might find in a conspiracy theory tabloid, and the game even acknowledges that. But they do bring up some pretty interesting questions. So the truth articles 1 through 4 kind of set the stage, talking about how Mother Sphere is an AI, and she's reached the singularity and is now writing her own code and is out of control, and Mother Sphere is 𝙃𝙧, and 𝙃𝙧 is Mother Sphere. It also mentions, I kid you not, Terminators. No, seriously, actual killbots called Terminators. But the 5th article is where it gets interesting. So it seems that the 𝙃𝙧 company has worked on a top secret project named, get this, the Human Instrumentality Plan. Like, are they purposefully being cheeky, or is this just not even trying? But at any rate, the purpose of this was to categorize humans by ranks, manage and improve them based on data collected from Mother Sphere. What's more, the article actually quotes Raphael Marks himself, which means he was in on it, or at least was trying to cover it up. Either way, he was well aware that Mother Sphere was working to improve humanity. And honestly, given some of the other things he's quoted as saying, it really seems like it was his dream as well. So let's fast forward back to the 2 fusion endings of the game. Now, Mother Sphere's words were a bit cryptic, so I'll try my best to simplify what she seems to be saying. In The Cost of Lost Memory, the ending in which Lily dies, she basically says that predicting the future is difficult. You can know which direction you want to head in, but not what lies along the path. Furthermore, while she's not entirely certain what the end result may be, she predicts it may result in a new form of life, and while the future of that life is unclear, as long as it carries the legacy of humanity, she will continue to serve it. Which is kind of interesting because it seems she's implying not so much that she's forcing humanity's evolutionary path, as much as facilitating it, and is actually okay with the direction Eve has chosen as long as it is in fact a forward path. So let's take a look at the fusion ending Making New Memories, the ending in which Lily is saved. Once again, she iterates that predicting the future is difficult, this time comparing it to trying to find a single star in the night sky. And again, she says that she serves the future of humanity, but does acknowledge that her actions may not be received with open arms. So in a way, it's a kind of, I'm doing this for your own good, you don't understand now, but one day you'll thank me parent kind of vibe. But she also says that she won't give up for the sake of her father. In other words, she's doing this because it's what, at least she believes, Adam wanted. Everything she's done was to achieve his dream, and she must test Eve to make sure she is in fact that dream. So I really don't think she's trying to kill Eve here. In fact, I think she's hoping Eve comes out victorious. It's cold, throwing all those other girls into the meat grinder, but again, from Mother Sphere's perspective, it's like testing your adult teeth by having them chew up your baby teeth. Actually, that's a terrible analogy. It's like testing your new immune system by pitting it against the old immune system. I don't know. Anyway, survival of the fittest, and she just wants to make sure that this new humanity meets that criteria. So this leads us into our final question. Is Mother Sphere a villain? Now, honestly, there's a bit of personal interpretation here. It could be argued that Mother Sphere is a cold, heartless AI with the singular goal of constantly improving her vague definition of humanity to the detriment of all else, and ultimately must be destroyed. It could also be that Mother Sphere actually does care for humanity, but misunderstood her creator's intent and has a completely skewed vision of what that entails, leading to a horrible series of events, and while she could still be of use, is ultimately more dangerous than she's actually worth. But what I believe is that she is in fact Adam's legacy, and although perhaps initially misguided, was ultimately born out of a love for humanity and is working towards a better future to right the mistakes of his past. Now, don't misunderstand. I'm not saying Mother Sphere did nothing wrong. She committed genocide against the organic humans, she abandoned everyone on the surface after the colony extinction, and she threw a lot of girls to the wolves with that whole Eve protocol thing. But again, I don't think she processes things the way we do. We often say overcoming adversity takes blood, sweat, and tears. And let's remember, it seems like she sees humanity as a singular organism. So from her perspective, losing a few million lives in service of a new humanity may be no different than losing a few million blood cells to perform life-saving surgery. So yeah, dare I say, I believe she is in fact acting in the best interest of humanity. And beyond that, seeing as memories are to be returned to her, she may not even differentiate all that much between life and death. In a sense, she may see the body as local storage, or perhaps more appropriately, a temporary vessel for the soul. If what defines us are our experiences, thoughts, and memories, while the body may perish, once uploaded, those memories, i.e. the soul, could arguably be said to survive within Mother Sphere. And again, this comes back to why the 𝙃𝙀𝙧 view her as a god. But anyway, back to the Eve Protocol. If she could just simulate everyone's memories like some kind of Roko's basilisk, why bother improving the body at all? Why not just abandon the Earth altogether and have everyone live out happily in a bunch of servers in space? Well, here's the kicker. I don't think she's acting alone. Dare I say, I don't even think her objectives may be her own. I believe she's been working with Adam this whole time. No, seriously. Just look at some of these quotes by Raphael Marks himself. What we know as truth is not always true. A society where only truth exists will inevitably collapse. Our innovation is for the betterment of humanity, and the betterment of humanity is our way to innovation. We have to be connected. Only when we are unified as one will the answer be revealed. That's literally the plot of this game. Add that to her comments on her father's vision in the Making New Memories ending, and I think there's a fair bit of evidence to support the idea that she's been all in on this fusion idea since the beginning. And, as it says in the entry for Mother Sphere, everything was planned according to the Eve Protocol. Everything. So that's my take. But I'll be honest, I may be a bit biased. The whole alien mind that thinks on a wavelength beyond our own trope is easily one of my favorites, and trying to do a thought experiment on how an omniscient AI might operate seems like a really fun thought experiment for me. Am I reading too much into it? Maybe. Maybe there's a lot of wishful thinking on my part, and I'm taking a few too many interpretive liberties here, but that's part of the fun, right? Coming up with theories like these. But what do you think about Mother Sphere? Let us know in the comments. Do you think she's evil, misunderstood? Does she have a plan? And if so, what is it? Or is this just some rogue AI that spiraled out of control? Did you not agree with me initially, but I did a good job of selling you on it? And while you're there, feel free to click that subscribe button and let us know if there's any other topics you'd like us to cover in the future, because I'll be honest, sometimes it's hard coming up with ideas. I love making videos for you guys, but sometimes I could really use some inspiration. Speaking of, shout out to MHCast2 for asking in the comments of our last Stellar Blade video if I was planning on making a video on potential DLC for Stellar Blade. Obviously, this video is not that, but it did kind of help put me on the path to making this one, so thanks a bunch. As far as DLC or sequel goes, I wouldn't even know where to begin, or even which ending to begin with for that matter. Again, bias showing, I might throw my hat in with us working with Mother Sphere in the future. Maybe clean up the planet, clear up any remaining Natiba, make it into a new Eden for everyone. Possibly find other Levoirs and face other factions of humanity and or Natiba that weren't quite as keen as Adam on finding a mutually beneficial outcome. I don't know, I think that'd be a fun twist, and as we know, Raven is still out there, and it's a safe bet to say she is not happy with any of those endings, so wouldn't be surprised to see her again. They could also go another route and maybe have a Raven or Oracle prequel, so that, we could do that. We don't know. We do know Shift Up is planning DLC and a sequel, or maybe sequels. So, who knows? But I am definitely looking forward to see what they have in the pipeline. But with all that out of the way, once again, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye.